How's everybody doing?
Great.
Awesome.
Awesome. Kind of pull your chairs in, will you please? It's what we do on Wednesday. We circle the wagons. Okay, Children's Pantry. Yesterday we ended up at $28.39 as a donation in Summit, trying to raise $4,000. I mean, so we're crushing it already. If you haven't done that, please think about it. This is to serve the kids who go home hungry. And we're raising enough money to take care of, I think, 1,000 kids who go home.
1,000 kids. One packet.
One packet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you look at what we're trying to accomplish and the things that we're doing. I mean, it's sad to think that there's kids in our communities that actually do go home hungry. The story that George read towards the end of his presentation, really hits home. We'll get in a little bit about Summit, but think about the kids who go hungry. They don't have a choice. If we can do something about it, we should step up. We got blessed lives doing what we're doing. So, and I'll be honest with you, there are parents out there that are obviously struggling immensely. And it may be the only thing they can do to help feed their kid. So remember those things. Tony Robbins, obviously we got that coming up November 7th through the 10th. Toastmasters today. If you guys are trying to improve your speaking skill, Toastmasters is one of the platforms in which you can do incredibly great things. I think, is there any other house cleaning items? I can't think of any. Anyway, we typically review Summit. But before we get into that, wins, victories. What kind of wins and victories do we have?
I'll share one.
Okay.
Mike and I, and you may have already shared it, but since Mike Ferry, we've been writing our listing presentation every single day, and we're on day 33. So it was a 30-day commitment, but we're still rolling.
How's that going for you guys? What's your win in that? I know.
I can write it without looking at it. I have to go back and review
Wow,
it, so
that's
I know
awesome.
I didn't miss things, or fix the way it's said, or I realized that with that, when you I'm glad you challenged me to do it. I mean, it was easier to do it than sing the Star Spangled Banner, but there's not anybody around me, so I don't have a problem. I did it at the office yesterday. I sit and I write it and I say it out loud, because you can't say it. You say it faster than you write it.
Right.
But when I say it, I notice I automatically do the pauses. I don't write them because I kind of scribble it out. After a while, your hand hurts. No, and and he did it the other day when he was role playing with me. He just said it. And when he did that, I quit looking at it and just started writing. But it gets in there and it works.
It internalizes, huh?
Yeah, and you can make it your own that way.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say, is it just, the words now are
Yours.
so deeply mine.
And
Right?
you can kind of visualize listening to what somebody's saying, because you don't have to think about what you're going to say next.
Isn't that nice?
I haven't used it yet, but
Yeah, you will.
it's interesting.
But it gives you, look, learning it that well gives you reason to prospect.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, a lot of people don't prospect because they don't feel like they have the tools.
They're afraid
know
to
what
win.
to say, or
Spot on. That's the truth. And so I've challenged quite a few people to do that. And man, I am seeing some really cool things coming from it.
Well, and I'm starting to work on my buyer's ones that way. I mean, it won't take 30 days because they're not planned,
So you're learning a habit that's actually giving you a lot of benefit that you can carry through.
Absolutely.
Yeah, what happens in that? Transformation is immense. Any other wins, victories, gratitudes?
I'm grateful for Summit. I mean, that was a very filling 2 hours.
So let's go right into Summit. Cause this is book club, we typically will review Summit and skip 1 week over this. We'll get into where we're gonna be going from in that towards the end of this. But what's your takeaways from Summit? I have a ton that I had written down. And I just, every talk, every person that spoke, as if they were speaking to me. But I think that's it. I don't think there's ever a bad presentation in anything. It's what you're willing to take out of anything. And not that we had any bad presentations, because we just didn't. I don't ever remember having a bad presentation in Summit. But wow, again, Russ and I talked about it quite a bit, and the emotion that actually came from the presentations the other day, at least allowed me to connect with it. But you can certainly feel the emotion from one person to the next. But I'm curious at what some of your guys' takeaways were. Who was there? Okay, perfect. So you who were not will get a treat today and some of the things we've learned. So,
I'll share a thought.
okay,
Amy Clark's backstory, I just think is amazing.
shocking, isn't it?
Yeah.
When she broke down her schedule.
Yeah.
It's
yeah,
like,
that's
what?
amazing.
I know, how did she survive that?
And I think the context or the takeaway was just that so often we see people where they are, right? And we hear George's story a lot at even me in a year, and it's a fantastic story as well. But Amy obviously has a lot of success in her business, and just hearing basically coming from nothing, maybe certainly a deficit. It's pretty cool, just empowering.
It was awesome to watch. It was
Yeah, you watched all that happen.
Yeah, and so when she said we were in the ghetto
equity, I love
Yeah.
that.
So,
That
so
was good.
we started out in a little office over on 13th, and when I joined, we were full. George didn't realize we were full, so he packed us in like sardines and added like 20 more people. Then we were really full. But I remember her, and shortly after I came in, she in like a 4 or 5 month period of time closed 8 homes,
Wow.
Well, you know,
and she just. And I remember receiving having to have a hard conversation. She took someone else in that had become single and was struggling, so she was renting her a room,
Wow.
and she had to have a hard conversation about, hey, you gotta pay your rent, and this gal said, why are you so money hungry? Aren't you selling enough homes? And she's all, okay, well, it's not about the money, but you need to learn to be self-reliant.
right?
You can move out, bye.
Wow.
And it just, and I might be skewing that story a little bit, but I remember watching it.
That's a good story. It's good. Thanks for sharing.
Well, I appreciated her story. I mean, it's interesting that when somebody starts or makes a change or a different direction or whatever, there's one defining moment, and hers was when the lady wanted to sell her house, and she said, no, I'm gonna figure this out.
And I think the other defining moment is when she heard her kid scream out in the middle of the
Yeah,
night
and
and
she
called
was
somebody
downstairs.
else's name.
I don't know how she got
How-
there.
Well, and to sit there and go and take a real hard look at who am I, where am I, what's my impact, what am I doing, how am I doing it? I mean, breaking it down to every minute, every nut and bolt, I can't even imagine. You looked at her schedule,
Yeah.
just hearing about it
Well,
was
the only reason
exhausting.
she was there is because she fell asleep at work.
Yeah, and to be called out for, accidentally falling asleep at work, and,
I don't know where she,
I mean,
an hour here, an hour there.
it's just, the story, it makes you realize that who is fighting now that same type of battle? Cause you to stop and think for a minute, those around you. I mean, I lose sleep over that because I see everybody. I see where they're at, I see what they're going through, and it's one of the hardest parts to, I think, being in management is really loving that deeply those who you're around and realizing that they're in this time of crisis. Hearing what she pushed through really, really, it elevated me because I'm like, I know, right? That's why I'm here.
Well, and even when John brought up, because I think actually that's a perfect example, when John says, oh, she closes 8 homes in 4 months or whatever the story was, I would assume a lot of people seeing that are excited and they see that piece, that chapter, but
Yep.
they don't know the past 90
Yeah.
days. They don't know the past 5 years. And there's a lot in there.
There is a lot in there, and it really goes back to the simple way of simplifying that is remember the person that dug the well, right? That's a lot of pain, that's a lot of digging and moving boulders and really being in the dirt, the mud, with the risk of collapse and death. I don't think we really think about that when we see somebody excel. Look at Justin Udy. What's his story? That's extraordinary, beyond extraordinary. 400,000 in a quarter. I've been in real estate 30 years and I've not seen that. Okay, but do you know the struggles and the journey in that? Someday you'll hear it, but it's not easy. What about the Lou Trans who 8-9 months pregnant and still out knocking 100 doors? What's our excuse? That's really where I think it takes you. Because if they can do it, why can't I do it? Because I didn't sleep last night. The dog next door was barking.
Well, George's message yesterday hits on that actually.
Right.
Listening to that message yesterday and then going to Summit and then I had a late night last night. I didn't go to bed early, but when I did go to bed, I reflect and write, and I was up another hour. But I was like, wow, what a day for learning.
Powerful day for learning.
Even reflecting, I mean, with this whole the feeding the kids stuff, and I donated some money to it. My son-in-law grew up in that kind of environment where his mom was incapacitated with drugs, and he stole food to feed his little sister.
Yes.
So that really hit home. When Alma was up there crying, I was like, okay, I can do this. And my daughter brought this guy home, and I was like, what is she doing? But learning his story and the man he is now, that's really something. And you can make a difference.
You can make a difference. I lost it on George's story with the little kid whose mom,
Yeah.
and him going to school and being a star student to being a stinky kid on the front row to, being, not just knowing what that poor child was going through and mom dying and then him giving of everything he had, a broken bracelet and what else it was?
Was it bottle?
Oh yeah, half a bottle of perfume. But here's the big, the very important thing I hope everybody got. When the teacher seeing the fallacy of her way and her change, the impact on the kid's life, in the end, where did she sit? In the seat of the mother, where the mother would have sat.
Mikey's teacher, actually. It was his teacher that became his mom.
Really?
She took him and his sister, well, she knew something was wrong, with the situation, and she was a foster parent, so she took him in. I don't know how she did it, but she got him as foster children, and she adopted them. Teachers.
Hey, what is your role in life? Who are you impacting? Every door, every phone call, every person. I mean, you're starting your last year of high school. He's here. What kind of impact is he gonna make on the world, right? But what about those around you at school? You're obviously a natural born leader. You wouldn't be here in the mix of leaders, which is gonna be extraordinary to watch your career. But that starts at any time. I mean, it's people who are willing to look around and stand and understand that, who are you? What are you? George's message, are you telling the truth? Now I want to get deeper than that. Are you telling the truth to yourself?
That was part of my reflection last night.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think to some degree we all lie to ourselves. I'm not so fat that I'm going to quit eating donuts. I'm fat. I need to stop eating donuts. So we right? But that's the truth because I'm comfortable where I'm at, right? It's like, come on, are we really being brutally honest with ourselves? Are you doing what you should be doing? Right into Jeremy's presentation. Look at the simplicity and how he broke that down. I mean, it's crazy. What are some other takeaways?
So Jeremy's, along with George's morning Ascent yesterday, and Jeremy's, kind of self-awareness, where are you at in your business? And,
Yeah.
Kind of taking inventory of yourself, and obviously if you're not self-aware, you can't change anything. And he said a quote, it's pretty simple, but it's something about, if you want different results, you have to do things differently. And so I woke up at like 1 a.m. this morning, and I was just thinking about that, and I actually journaled, because I'm telling myself these stories, and I'm bullshitting myself, to be honest.
Yeah.
So it's a good time to take a good look in the mirror and take inventory.
Jeremy's message was really powerful in the fact that what is Summit? It's a celebration that we made it to another level.
Was a question.
Yeah. Yes. Right.
What will be different for me what will be different for me when I leave this meeting?
Didn't you love that? I mean,
Yeah, it's like, well, I met another summit. There was a time last year where I didn't go to the last two.
and listen to what you just said. I made it to another summit. That is so rich in volume of what you just said. I made it to another summit. What are the summits of your life? I mean, we just happen to come together and celebrate. Some of these people are climbing to heights. It's extraordinary. Right? Well, of course, and watching his journey, but you know what? He started in here, this meeting, actually, the role play meetings, 2 months before he ever got his license. That's a man that's figuring out where I'm going. Are we trying to figure out where we're going? Give me your name again.
Carson.
Carson. You think Carson has an idea where he wants to go in life? Senior in high school this year, getting ready to start. Most kids are out playing video games and figuring sleeping in. Who's here? I am so impressed by this young man's approach to life. I wished I had an army of them because I'd conquer the world. Think about what are we doing in conjunction of where we're going and what we're doing. Jeremy's approach, what is your state of the union of your business? What is the address to yourself? And are we lying to ourselves? How do you tell what works? By the results. What are your results? Where do I need to adjust? Because there's always blind spots, right? Where are our blind spots? I think by analyzing what Jeremy was talking about, is extremely important. You look at Amy, used to start that meeting off and say, okay, here's what I went through, here's what I looked like. Gives you hope. Here's this tiny little woman that roars like a tiger. Right? I mean,
Well, she's always excited, always.
yes.
And even, I mean, I guess her darkest part was probably before she got into real estate, so I didn't know her then, but she's always been excited. And her point about, are you willing to make sacrifices? Oh my goodness, I had a friend message me via Facebook, hey, what would be a good place to go to real estate school? I need to change my life. So I sent him the website, said, here's Stringham School, it's gonna cost about $700. But you go here, you take a test, you'll be able to get started. He takes back, wow, I looked at their website, it's too expensive.
Too expensive to change your life.
I don't know. Well, actually, that's the cheapest part because once you,
And the board comes in.
yeah, that's the, but I mean, with are you willing to make sacrifices and what's the state of your business? But honestly, Amy got to a point just a couple of years into it where she paid for her whole family. They had Christmas up in Yellowstone on snowmobile.
Right. Yeah, look where she's gone, it's
Yeah.
extraordinary. Let's look at this really quick. Amy, I mean, because I think the way Summit actually laid out was perfect and extraordinary in every way. Somebody presented on the struggles and the journey to greatness, and still growing, to a person that says, check the state of your business and who you are, what does it look like? Capped off with a powerful emotion of why, and are you telling the truth to your business? Think about how that unrolled and how perfect that it laid out as a summit, and as a summit should be, in the story that it had given. How does it relate to you and where you're at? And are you applying it? Are you changing? Look, to get what you've never had, you have to do things you've never done. The quote I wrote on the board up there, when opportunity comes, it's too late to prepare. Are you preparing? We are given so many tools here and so many, this is what it looks like. This is the journey. This is what it feels like. Now go. It's up to you to take the steps. It's up to you to make, because only you know what your life looks like and what it feels like and where you're going and what you're doing. If there needs to be change, change. If there needs to be a better journey, focus. But it all comes down to an emotional perspective of where you're at and what you're doing, because that's what makes you move.
It's kind of interesting as I kind of gone through my career and so forth, I've felt, or I've seen rather, those things that probably I thought didn't matter 25, 30 years ago, they matter as you get older. I realized that everything I read, whether it be a business periodical, a cooking magazine, something on gardening or whatever the case is, you think about those trivial things and how they wouldn't, it's just fun. But those, that knowledge expansion, that knowledge base helps you become another person. And you're going, well, how can a little cooking article do that? It does. Every experience you have, every door you knock, every interaction you have with somebody, and 20 years from now, you're going to look back and you go, I had an experience, and you may or may not be with Century 21 Everest. But in 20 years from now, you're going to look back and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to reflect on things that happened in my life, even prior to this little classroom setting. You're going to go look back and go, you know what? There were points in my life that had good influence on me, and it might be just that little silly article you read in Psychology Today.
Yep.
It all has an impact, and it all has a way of creating who you are.
That's it.
And again, I look back on things that happened when I was 25 years old, when I got out of college with the first company and so forth. All those things were foundational, and I thought, I'm going to stay with this company forever. I didn't. I left, went on to another company, and I thought, this is where I'm going to be. Nope. I went on, and I even changed industries, and now I'm here, and there's a reason why I'm here. But you try to work hard, learn what you're able, and again, build that foundation of who you are through the things you read, the things you experience, the people you associate with, and so forth.
That's powerful. It takes my mind to a class I did once when we talked about I brought a simple can of soup. Look at this can of soup. Most of us will crack it open, warm it up, eat it, and not even think about it. The ground and the soil that the wheat to the little alphabet particle that was in it was grown, the water, the care, the time. That's just one element of that. What about the pea in it, or the chicken, or what's the process and all the things that add to it, right? That create that one product for us. You're right. Everything in our lives that are creating us to who we are is part of what we become.
Another one, and again, I don't mean to take a whole lot of time, but I was in, once upon a time, in acquisitions, and merger and acquisitions. We ended up buying a handful of aggregate sites down in Arizona, and I was new to it, because aggregate is sand and gravel. It's nothing sexy, it's nothing exotic, it's not cocktail discussion, it's nothing more than dirt and moving dirt. And I was in the middle of Arizona near Lake Havasu, and with a guy that was selling a chunk of land. And I'm going, there's cactus and rock, and it's ugly to a point. And I says, it's just hard to think about what this really is. And he reaches down, and he's in Arizona, and he's been in this business for a long time. He reaches down and grabs it and says, "Look at this." And I says, "Yeah, what is it?" And I says, "Well, it's dirt, rocks and gravel." He says, "Do you know that the car you drive is made of this?
Yep.
The chairs you sit on is made of this. The boards, the air conditioners, the lighting, everything you have is made of this." And I'm going, and when you look at it, all of this is made of this.
Correct.
It's
pretty
pretty interesting.
It's how we see, like the Christmas tree that was made out of the tumbleweeds,
Yeah.
the most beautiful Christmas tree they've ever seen, correct? Amy's story. Look at life. Look at where you're at. That's why it's so important to be in an environment like we're in, because it provides those finite moments or pieces to the construct of who you become. What are you becoming is the question. Yesterday was extraordinary. I appreciate you being here today. Be prepared to go over the book next week and go through the, I think it's 10 rules. Goes to page, I think 10. There's 10 rules in there I want you to study so we can discuss them. Think hard and long about the things that were taught in Summit and discussed here today. Who are you? What are you? Where are you going? What are you about? What do you stand for? Because that is truth to you. And make it happen. Thanks for being here. Let's close with some affirmations. You want to close this?
Yep. Okay.
Bring the heat, Michael.
Alrighty. Energy. Energy, man. Let's burn it down. Give you something to rock. Closing affirmations.